In the bustling village of Akosombo, Ghana, nestled along the banks of the Volta River, 10-year-old Samson was a bright spark in his community. A primary school student with a love for Califia, a lively game of marbles, and a passion for adventure books, Samson was known for his quick smile and nimble fingers during games with friends. His parents, Mr. and Mrs. Mensah, owned a vibrant fabric stall in the village market, their days filled with the hum of bargaining and the rustle of colorful cloth. To provide for Samson's school fees, uniforms, and the family's needs, they worked long hours, often leaving their son to return to an empty home. The school trotro, a rickety minibus, dropped Samson off by 2:30 p.m., and the quiet house greeted him until his father's heavy footsteps sounded around 7 p.m. One humid evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Samson sat on the veranda, kicking at pebbles. "Papa, Mama, I don't like being alone so long," he said softly, his voice barely rising above the crickets. His mother, wiping sweat from her brow, knelt beside him. "Samson, we're sorry. We work hard so you can have a good future. It's just a few hours, okay?" His father nodded, adding, "You're a strong boy." Samson understood their sacrifices, but couldn't shake the loneliness that clung to him like damp cloth. Determined to ease Samson's solitude, Mrs. Mensah devised a plan. "Samson, you'll stay with Uncle Kwame after school until we're home," she announced one morning, her voice firm but warm. Uncle Kwame, a carpenter in his early 30s, lived a few houses down in a modest compound. Known for his booming laugh and skillful hands that crafted sturdy stools and tables, he was a trusted figure in Akosombo. Samson, who often waved at Uncle Kwame while passing his workshop, felt a flicker of relief. "Okay, Mama," he agreed, clutching his school bag. Uncle Kwame's home was a cozy haven, filled with the earthy scent of sawdust and polished wood. Each afternoon, he greeted Samson with a wide grin. "How is school, my young scholar?" he'd ask, sliding a plate of steaming jollof rice or crispy fried plantain across the table. At first, Samson was shy, his eyes fixed on his food, but Uncle Kwame's tales of village folklore, stories of Anansi the spider or the spirits of the Volta River, drew him out. They watched local dance videos on Kwame's small TV, Samson giggling at the energetic moves. One afternoon, Uncle Kwame presented Samson with a gleaming set of marbles, each one catching the light like a tiny gem. "For you, Samson. You're like the son I never had," he said. Samson's heart swelled, and he hugged the marbles close, feeling cherished. For weeks, Samson looked forward to his afternoons with Uncle Kwame, but a subtle shift began to cloud their time together. One afternoon, after Samson finished his arithmetic homework, Uncle Kwame sat closer than usual on the worn wooden bench in his living room. His voice was low, almost secretive. "Samson, let's play a special game. It's just for us, and you mustn't tell anyone, all right?" Samson, trusting the man who'd been so kind, nodded hesitantly, but a prickle of unease stirred in his chest. The game was nothing like Califia or the playful races with his schoolmates. It felt wrong, invasive, and Samson's stomach churned. "Uncle, I don't like this," he mumbled, shifting away. Kwame's smile didn't waver. "Don't worry, you'll get used to it. It's our secret." But Samson's discomfort grew, a heavy weight he couldn't name. The afternoons dragged on, each marked by growing dread. At night, Samson began waking to damp bedsheets, a humiliating problem he thought he'd outgrown years ago. Shame burned his cheeks as he hid the sheets, terrified his parents would notice. He lay awake, staring at the ceiling, wondering why his body betrayed him. The joy of marbles and stories faded, replaced by a gnawing fear he couldn't explain. He wanted to tell someone, anyone, but the words stuck in his throat, tangled in confusion and guilt. At school, Samson's spark dimmed. The boy who once led Califia matches with shouts of triumph now lingered at the edges of the playground, his marbles untouched in his pocket. Madame Emanuela, his kind-hearted teacher with a keen eye, noticed the change. During a class on fractions, she saw Samson staring blankly at his notebook, his pencil idle. At break, she approached him under the mango tree where he sat alone. "Samson, Is something troubling you? She asked, her voice soft as a breeze. Samson scuffed his sandals in the dirt, his eyes downcast. Nothing, madam, he whispered, but his trembling lip betrayed him. Later that day, Madame Emanuela called him to her desk after class. Samson, you can trust me. Whatever it is, I'll listen, she said, her eyes steady and warm. Samson's vision blurred with tears. The weight of his secret pressed against his chest until, in a barely audible voice, he said, Uncle Kwame, he makes me feel bad. He plays games I don't like. Madame Emanuela's face tightened with concern, but her voice remained gentle. You're so brave for telling me, Samson. This is not your fault, and I'll make sure you're safe. She thanked him, her hand resting lightly on his shoulder, and promised to act. Madame Emanuela wasted no time, informing the school headmaster and counselor, who contacted Mr. and Mrs. Mensah. When Samson's parents learned of Uncle Kwame's actions, their world shattered. That evening, they sat with Samson in their small living room, the air heavy with grief. Samson, we're so sorry, his mother sobbed, pulling him into a tight embrace. We should have listened when you said you were lonely. His father, usually stoic, wiped his eyes. We'll never leave you alone again, son. You're safe now. The Mensahs reported Uncle Kwame to the Akosombo police, who handled the case with care. A young officer, Sergeant Amoa, spoke to Samson in a quiet room, his voice calm and reassuring. You did the right thing, Samson. You're helping others by being honest. Uncle Kwame was arrested, and the village buzzed with shock. The man who'd carved furniture for their homes and shared groundnuts with their children had hidden a dark side. Whispers filled the market, and neighbors rallied around the Mensahs, offering support. Samson's parents restructured their lives to protect their son. Mrs. Mensah reduced her market hours, and Mr. Mensah arranged for a trusted cousin, Auntie Esi, to stay with Samson when needed. They found a counselor in nearby Kwang, a kind woman named Dr. Nyarko, who helped Samson navigate his fears and shame. Through their sessions, Samson began to understand that the bedwetting and his unease weren't his fault. Slowly, the nightmares faded, and his bed stayed dry. At school, Samson's laughter returned. He rejoined his friends in Kpalifia matches, his marbles clicking with precision. One sunny afternoon, he approached Madame Emanuela as she marked papers under the school's neem tree. Thank you for helping me, he said, his voice steady. She smiled, her eyes crinkling. You're stronger than you know, Samson. You've shown everyone what courage looks like. Samson's courage rippled through Akosombo. His parents, determined to protect other children, shared his story at a community meeting, urging parents to listen to their children and watch for signs of distress. All the parents need to watch this, Mr. Mensah said, his voice firm. We found Samson's school bag on the sidewalk one day, with a note from him saying he was scared. We almost missed it. The village elders organized workshops with counselors, teaching families how to talk about safety and trust. Samson, now 12, stood taller, his heart lighter. He learned a vital lesson. Speaking up when something feels wrong is never a mistake. There are always people ready to listen, believe, and protect. As he flicked a marble across the dirt, watching it strike true, Samson knew he'd not only reclaimed his joy, but also helped make his village a safer place for every child.